let's talk books. That's what we're going to do today. And I thought we would start out by talking a little bit about how our reading lives have changed. I don't know about y'all, but there was a long time, especially this spring, where I did not read a lot. And like, I usually read a lot. That's just my usual pattern. And I was just like, nope, I'm too stressed out. I can't focus. And it took me a while to find the things that helped me kind of restore my reading life. And so I wondered about you guys. Have you been reading differently, reading less, reading certain things? Maybe like rereading has been really helpful for me. Or certain genres. Reading a lot of comics was really helpful for me because I love comics.
So for me, I was actually reading over the entire while we were still doing since this was happening because I so it's like I have books at my house that I really like to read, and so it's a daily thing for me to just read at night. So I read every day.
That's awesome, Brie. And I think it's such a good habit, especially at night. There's actually some awesome science that like reading for 5 minutes can reduce your stress. So how much more so if we read more?
Well, mostly, since I cleaned out my bookshelf, which was a disaster zone, comparing how big it is, and I still have like 3 more shelves I have to do.
Yeah.
I found a lot of books, reread those, read the entire Harry Potter series like 3 times again, because I was very bored, and we went to the bookstore. That was fun. I got a lot of books, new books, nice.
So what kind of things are you all enjoying nowadays? Like it sounds like a lot of you have found ways to, kind of support your reading life. And some things have changed, some things haven't. Are you guys experiencing what are some like maybe like genres that you guys are loving? Like I'm hearing some fantasy fans. I don't know if some of the rest of you are fantasy fans. If again, feel free to use the chat or just come off mute and just unmute yourself. You don't have to like, you can just go ahead and do it. Yeah, like what are some genres or authors or styles you guys are enjoying right now? And hopefully we can create a list together of things. If anybody wants to share. Realistic fiction. Okay. Yes. I increasingly am really enjoying realistic fiction. Archie comics. Yeah. So some of those like older classics.
I love Archie comics so much. I've been collecting.
My neighbors have like entire boxes full of them, and I just say like, hey, can I borrow some of these? Because my son is fulfilled by Archie comics.
Yes.
Fantasy.
Yes. And hopefully by the end of this session, everybody will have a new book recommendation to like fulfill at the library or get from a bookstore, ask your caregivers, because I want everybody to have something like a plan to read moving forward.
Farside comics sometimes.
I heard sometimes comics, Charles, is that correct?
I find myself reading Farside comics sometimes.
Yes, the Far Side. Oh my gosh. Like I need to reread those because I feel like I probably missed half of the jokes when I read them when I was a kid, but I bet there's some layers there. And I think there's some new Far Side actually. I think Gary Larson came back with some new stuff. But I like comics especially because like, you can read a whole book very quickly and then you feel really satisfied and then you can read it again. Are you guys finding like with school reading, are you finding that like you're reading in school or is it mostly like kind of like in your free time or like there's time in school given for reading? I'm just curious, like if anybody has any ideas about that. I know that's a really vague question too. So something to think about.
Historical. I love historical.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I love how scary stories. Ooh, okay. We have some good suggestions of scary stories for you, Ariana. Maybe let's just jump into some book talks. Ooh, Allison, did you have your hand up?
So you were asking about like having time to read books. So at Lincoln Hall for 6th grade, like every advisory or when they give you time to read books.
That's awesome. That's so important. Like just having dedicated time to read, the research shows like makes such a big difference. It's hard when it's like the time that you're given is like, well, maybe if I don't want to read right now, but like I think it's important that school provides that. So I think that's awesome. I'm glad you have that.
My reading helper, who I had to take lessons from because I have dyslexia and ADHD, she introduced me to this book series called The War I Finally Won. It's about a girl with like this toe thing, like this foot thing. It's really good story because in the first book it talks about the World War II or World War One. And then the second book, it's about bombs, and it's really cool. And the main character finds a spy, and it was really good.
I love that series so much, Vivian. I love both of those books.
And she has a new book out this year that is realistic fiction and very different than her other books, but definitely worth reading. And I'm blanking on the title, of course, but I'll find it. Fighting Words. Thank you. Thank you. It actually won the Gate mock Newbery at Lincoln Hall. So good on them. All right, let's share some more book titles. So
yeah, actually in 3rd grade, I found this series called The Land of Stories by Colfer. And it was about these two girls, there's like these brother and sister, and their grandma gave them a book, and and their father died, but when they opened the book, it like brought them to like many fairy tales and like Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf and other things, and it was very entertaining. I liked it.
So I read Echo this year for the Newbery thing, and it's about these 3 kids and this fairy tale story, and like they kind of get they get connected by the thing that the person in the fairy tale story made, this harmonica, and like they're all musicians, so yeah.
I love that book too. I love that book so much. I did that one on audio and they play the music for real. So I recommend doing it on audio too if you've already read it as a print book, because you get to listen to the real music, which is nice.
One of my favorite books are Wishtree by Applegate, and it's basically about this tree named Red, and she's a red oak, and they want to cut her down, but her friend Bongo, who is a crow, she doesn't let them cut her down, and yeah.
oh my gosh, Wishtree is so good. I love how it's from the point of view of a tree, which like we don't really think about a lot, but they have like that depth of time and experience to be able to match like current events with the past. Katherine Applegate, you just open our hearts up, right? I will share a couple. Okay, I guess I should spotlight myself. All right. Have any of you seen Twins by Varian Johnson and Shannon Wright yet?
It was a good book.
Yeah.
I remember I went to the Twins thingy.
Yeah, so we read this book for Books and Bites, which was really fun. This is a realistic fiction story. So Sarah, this would be a good book for you. And this is about twin sisters, Maureen and Francine, who are starting middle school. And basically they're trying to figure out a way to like, stand apart from each other. As twins, they really struggle with like, being individuals and people mistaking them for each other and just like wanting to be their own thing. And they end up trying for student council against each other, which causes lots of stress and lots of miscommunications and just like lots of hurt feelings. But in the end, they are sisters forever, and you just love them and love their characters and how different they are from each other, and also how unique they are and just how wonderful they are. I love this book so much. So highly recommend Twins. Also, I didn't think I said this. It's a graphic novel. So we kept talking about how much we love comics. This is an amazing graphic novel. Shannon Wright did the art and it's gorgeous. So Twins, another graphic novel that I'd recommend. I don't know if any of you are like Dogman fans or have read those in the past, but there's a new Dogman series called Cat Kid Comic Club, which is all about how to make your own comics. Through the story.
My brother is absolutely obsessed with it.
Yes. I love it.
I think he was last year, but now.
Is he still
Now he is.
obsessed?
We haven't been reading it that often.
He might
So,
like this
yeah.
one because this one's a little different because it is about like
Yeah.
inspiration for how to make your own comics. So the style is completely different.
Well, we bought I don't remember, but 2 or 3 of the books. I don't remember, but we bought some of the books. So we still have them here, but my brother doesn't read them that often.
Sometimes when you own it, I feel like you're less likely to like read it as much when you know, like, I got to get this back at the library. At least that's sometimes how I feel about books. Let's see. Oh, so another book I want to share with you. This is actually going to be the book we're going to be reading in February's Books and Bites. So this is our book selection for that. This is by Mbalia and Andie Tong. This is also a graphic novel. And this is basically about a kid, Tai, who inherits his grandmother's jade ring, and he ends up being part of this group of space cops called the Green Lanterns, and he becomes a superhero. And sort of realizes that his grandmother was a superhero all along, even beyond her powers that she had, emigrating to the United States and starting her life over completely. So there's a lot of amazing stuff in this book as well. Does anybody else have a book or an author that they have really liked this year or that they've read this year? It could be stuff you read for school or just stuff that you found.
Myself right now, lol. So anyways, my favorite book this year is called The One and Only Ivan, and it's about a gorilla and a baby elephant who are abused at a mole, but then moved to a zoo. That's a lot like wildlife.
Yes, The One and Only Ivan is so good.
So, yeah, I like Riordan. Like, he's a really good author because he writes a lot of like Greek mythology, Norse mythology, and a lot of stuff about mythology.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I love mythology stories. There's a whole bunch of like new series within the Rick Riordan Presents series, I guess you would call it, like from different authors, which I really love. I don't know if you've read Tristan Strong. What's it called? Let me read what's the first book? Oh, Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky, which definitely it's part of Rick Riordan Presents. This is the second book in the series. So I definitely recommend the first book and also the second book.
And Brandon shared that he really likes the Mastermind series.
Yes, Gordon Corman is like can do all genres. Like he's really good at realistic fiction, but he also takes a hand at like some of the like subgenres. Yes. Sidekicks, No Adults Allowed. This is actually an Australian book that was then brought over, and this is about a bunch of sidekicks who are tired of their superheroes mistreating them, not taking them seriously, sometimes just being incompetent, and they're like, we're going to gather together and we're going to go on our own. There's a dinosaur who's like an academic, and I love him. And also in a twist, there's a supervillain who has a engineered like blob creature who he kind of keeps in captivity, and the blob creature is like, I don't want to be part of the supervillain anymore. And the supervillain's like, you don't have a choice. And the blob creature is like, I'll show you. It's just really a fun graphic novel, but also plays with the tropes of superheroes. So anyway, so I have a really special book to share with y'all. This is called The Sea in Winter by Christine. Oh, let me spotlight myself. All right. This is A Sea in Winter by Christine Day, and the publisher sent us a free copy of this book to give away at our library. And this is a story about Maisie. Maisie is a ballet dancer, but she's had a really painful injury to her knee. And she had surgery, she's been going to physical therapy, and she can't dance, and all she wants to do is dance, and she's really having a hard time with her recovery. And her family decide to go for a road trip to visit places that are important to their family, and in the process she starts realizing that like she has to pay attention to the pain and that she can't just keep avoiding it. And she also maybe needs to grapple with the pain of losing her dream, which is being a dancer, for the sake of other things. It's really, really beautiful. It's a little bit, it's a quiet book, which I like, but you really feel like you're in the Pacific Northwest with Christine Day. She is a Macaw Piscataway girl. She's a Native girl, and that's really important to her identity, and really shapes her worldview and her family. Anyway, I feel like I could talk over and over about this book. I love this book. And your next read, you're going to read next, like the one that's next to your like bed that you're going to go back to next.
A Place at the Table. Right now, I'm like 60% into that one. That one's really good if you like food.
Yes, this book is so good. Yes, yes, yes. But yeah, it definitely makes you hungry.
Does make you really hungry.
Yeah.
It's a series. Have you guys ever heard of the Babysitters Club?
Yes.
I really like their new book.
Ooh, is that the one with Logan?
Logan likes Marianne.
Yeah.
My mom bought it for me, and I was like, when the day I got it, I was like, my dad said we had to clean it, and then my brother and I saw that they were there, and I was like, mine. And my brother and I, we went upstairs in my room and I read the entire book, and it's like, it was right after school. It's like, I read the entire book right after school, and I'm like, I'm surprised that I was able to finish it that fast. I'm guessing I was really wanting to read it so much. And like now I loved it so much that I've tried to read it. I read it like every day.
Nice.
It's so good.
I love Books and Bites, and I love sharing stories with all of you. And just being here together, right, in our reading community. You chose to come here when you've lots of other things going on. So I really, really appreciate it.